right, today being the 9th day in the month of August, we are back right here on the Newspaper Review on Top TV. My name is Williams Abule, and right here on this program, of course, we'll go through newspaper headlines and we'll get to dissect them, analyze them, and of course, talk about them right here on the show. And we do that with you and also with my guest here in the studio, Jennifer Wamo. You're welcome.
Thank
How
you
have
so
you been?
much. I've been well anyways. I'm enjoying the weather so far. The August break is really doing me great.
Yes, that's something to note. Yes, we've enjoyed about a whole week of no rainfall here in River State.
I'm just wishing it doesn't come to an end. This is my best weather so far. Yeah.
But then, of course, we are now stepping into another, should I say, it's like the peak of the rainy season. And of course, we're going to
another peak of the rainy season. If you don't have an umbrella, you try get one.
Yes, and so please ensure that you close your windows when you're leaving your house.
Yes, yes.
All right, if you're just joining us, this is where we'll bring you the newspaper headlines, so don't go anywhere. You're also part of this program, so go ahead and subscribe so you stay connected and also notified. So you need to turn on your notification key so you get notified whenever we come up with this program. This very interesting program where we talk about the headlines. All right, without wasting much time, let's go into the newspaper headlines for today, beginning with This Day newspaper. And on This Day newspaper for today, the 9th day in the month of August, we have as headline here, Zenith Bank, AFC, FTA sign agreement to develop smarter FC FTA portal. All right, if you want to know what all of that code name means, you go to page 10 of This Day newspaper. That's where you get details of that story. We also see this headline here, Lawan, Yari, Tambowal, Oshomole, Musa, others emerge Senate Committee Chairman. And details is on page 35 of This Day newspaper. Tinubu mourns as tributes pour in for Pastor Taiwo Dukoya. Jennifer, you know this man, Taiwo Dukoya.
Yes, that's the husband to late Bimbo Dukoya.
Yes, late Bimbo Dukoya, a very powerful woman of God. That died in that very tragic Sosoliso airline crash here in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
And Bimbo was well known for all her effort in restoring marriages. You know, she preached so much about relationships and marriages, and had a lot of followers. And was very popular back then. Before
and
her
it was very painful that she had to leave her husband alone here. So I guess the man is already tired, weak. You know, sometimes when you're so much, I wouldn't know what their love life looked like, but when you're so much in love and had that fun and all that, you wouldn't know how to move forward any longer.
It was quite a difficult time for them.
Yes, that's a particular death that is touching me, and that of Pastor TB Joshua really touched me.
That
See
was
this?
A big shocker,
yes,
right?
that was that came as a shock.
Yes.
But we don't have anything to do about it. Death, we say, is inevitable.
And it's very sad. We extend our heartfelt sympathy to the family of the Odukoyas, his son, a famous actor. We really sympathize with them and hope that God will help them recover from this very trying time. All right, moving on to other headlines. We also see, still on This Day newspaper, Nigeria president orders financial sanctions against individuals, entities, says actions not based on religion, ethnicity, insists military option not ruled out. ECOWAS leaders meet tomorrow as Niger junta rejects UN, AU, other delegations. US diplomat denied access to Bazoum Chiani. All right, get details of all of that on page 10 of This Day. A lot. You know, we've talked about this story.
We've been on Niger. That's still in the news
but
anyway.
Then a lot keeps happening as the day goes by. Just yesterday, we got reports of the military junta rejecting any move.
They're actually holding on. They're not giving in to loopholes.
They don't want to get any form of peace talks with any international agencies like the UN, AU, and EU, and all of that. They want to be left alone, and that is beginning to make people wonder: how are they going to have these diplomatic conversations, these diplomacy that they need to have with them to avoid military intervention, to avoid military actions on them? So it's really a tough time for both the ECOWAS and both international communities that is saying we don't want war, we don't want military intervention, but we want to still see how democracy can be restored.
No, but come to think of it, Mr. Abule, these persons are not. Niger is not the first to say we want to run a military regime. So why the stress?
Oh well, now you see, that's why the fact that Nigeria is not the first. It is having a military government in place is not what is needed at this time.
At this time?
Because yes, I say that because before it gets to military takeovers like this one, it must have been that yes, maybe
the civilian system.
Yes, the system that the government is operating on is beginning to fail so much,
yes.
And then they want to forcefully take over power and then see if they can restore and then leave alone without any foreign interventions like what they are demanding. They don't want the French government to continue to run
their system.
Yes,
I understand.
They should go away, and this is why. But I also feel that it's a bit too early for all of this force that both the ECOWAS and the international community is putting on them. They should let them be for some time.
For some time.
Maybe they would have, gone ahead to try to execute some of their plans. When they begin to fail, they might want to listen. But right now, it looks as though they are forcing them to listen and, entertain that international presence that they are also saying we are tired of seeing. We don't want it anymore, so go away. So all of that is playing out right now. We just hope it really, really, really doesn't get to some kind of military intervention. We don't want to see that. And then the Senate, the Nigerian Senate has also said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not go ahead with such an action. They are not in support of it. So we just hope that. But Bola Ahmed, on the other hand, is saying, it is not my voice. I am the chairman of the ECOWAS. So I'm voicing the decision of the
member states of the ECOWAS.
So it's just a tough time. But we hope that it doesn't get to any military action. We don't want war.
We don't want war. In as much as we don't want war, there are so many wars ongoing.
Yeah, but we don't want to be part of it.
We don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, because when it starts, Nigeria is going to have to bear the brunt of whatever is going to be going on in Nigeria, and because we are neighbors, whether we like it or not, they are like our brothers. We have people from Nigeria that are married to them. It's a very complicated situation, but we hope that these diplomacy and all of these interactions that they're trying to put out get some kind of headway to avoid military actions. All right, we'll continue with our headline still on this day newspaper, and this time we'll go to the main headline here. It says Tinubu vows to end Nigeria's over-reliance on borrowing for public expenditure, says 18% tax to GDP target by 2026. Nation's revenue generation falls below African standards, says Oyedele. Reveals Nigeria loses 20 trillion annually to tax system gaps. Pledges committee will get rid of multiple taxations. All right, you find that story on page 10 of this day newspaper. And at the bottom strip here, you also see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the WTO president, person of Okonjo Iweala. And also you see 8th Annual Zenith Bank International Trade Seminar on non-oil export right there. All right, pictures from that seminar. Let's move on to the stories on this day here. Let's talk about Tinubu vowing to end Nigeria's over-reliance on borrowing for public expenditure. How do you think that is going to be?
Nigerians will be so happy if that happens. Yes, because a lot of persons have been hitting against every time the rash decision in borrowing from IMF, rash decision in taking of grants, rash is because the CBN, the IMF is always there to say a country that don't have it, you can come to us, we can do it. And Tinubu coming from this particular perspective doesn't mean that everything will be achieved immediately. I think this is actually working towards what he has promised us, the renewed hope.
Yeah.
Yes, the renewed hope starting from a cut in the over-borrowing is too much. It's actually too much. Yeah. It's too much. But what next? What do you want to replace this borrowing with? what is your intention? How do you bring our revenue to rise?
Point, yeah.
Yes, we're talking about 18 point something percent here. Come to think of it, so many people are still on the pay as you earn. If we are still on the consumption tax, the production tax, some companies are not returning.
Yeah.
They are not paying. If they were paying, the government will not be losing. Yes, the government is losing so much. So many companies, a person might own about 2 to 3 production companies, but you're paying nothing.
You're paying for only one.
You're paying for only one. You're cheating the government, for Christ's sake. How do you want them to increase this revenue? Let us look at so many businesses, so many markets in the country. Let's use Lagos, for example. Alaba, do you know what comes in there? Every day. Talk of weeks, talk of months. But what do we return to the government as tax? What do we return? Looking at it from that aspect, if the generation of revenues can increase, not from persons now.
Yes.
I'm talking about, from businesses. Talking about the production sector and not more of the consumption sector, it will be better. That's if they can go into that and say, this is the area we want to generate these revenues from. But if it is not that area, I'm not in support of that.
Yeah.
Maybe they should keep borrowing. But the problem of this borrowing is the need to service the loan.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not just talking about what you've borrowed. Servicing loan is very cost. It's quite expensive. So Nigeria is at that point where you think of how you can complement this other thing, how you can subsidize. We know that the subsidy has been removed from petrol. That is not the only side. That's why here now they're talking about the tax. They're talking about how do we generate revenues? How do we meet up?
Yeah.
That's what what reforms are coming up for us to generate more revenue, so that even when we want to borrow, we borrow lesser.
Yeah.
Even right now, we are owing more than 33 billion naira.
True. There's a lot, and well, interesting that the president is, coming up with this brilliant idea. I pray it works. I pray that he's able to do this. But we've also known him to be a man that, reshaped the Lagos economy while he was a governor there. And this was one of those things that he did. He looked inward, Lagos State, and generated a lot of revenue for the state. So we are hoping that maybe this move is for him to replicate. He wants to replicate that side of him. He has been known to be very good at internally generating a lot of revenues for. But
on the other hand, when I got to this particular headline, I was like, looking at it, Nigerians are trying to pay their taxes. Yes. But it seems that the taxes does not get to the to the federal government.
So those are the areas that he wants to focus on now.
Yes.
So if there are any loopholes where monies are being siphoned, or people are evading tax, businesses that are qualified to pay certain amounts of taxes are evading. He has already set up a committee.
Yes, this is where the FIRS need to come in.
Yeah, so he has already set up a committee to ensure full compliance to this policy that he's trying to create. And we hope that this actually brings, Tinubu, since he got into office, I see that he's been trying to he's doing all his best to ensure that Nigeria cuts away from too much borrowing, one, and of course, over expensive burden that is put on the government. Because the subsidy removal, even though I still don't agree with the way it was done, I don't know if I'll ever agree with the way it was done, because they are trying to manage the situation after all the crisis.
After the mess has been done.
Yeah. So, but then that we know that was a good move, and we were expecting that any government that will come into office will make that move, and then ensure that Nigerians begin to see those monies that were being used for subsidy will be put back into governance. And that's what we are hoping that we'll begin to see in a few months' time, that these monies that were removed from subsidy, plus the fact that he's making moves now to block all the loopholes as regards taxes, and internally generate money to run government.
Yes.
That's a great move, and we hope that he achieves this. And people on this committee that he has set up, they said he has the best hands on this. Unfortunately, we don't have any minister for finance yet, but with the screenings that are over at the Senate, we're hoping that within the next
minister of
few
finance
weeks,
will come
we'll
up
have
very
one,
soon.
so that all of this will be in full, full-blown motion, and then of course have someone at the helm of affairs ensuring that these policies are being brought to bear and to fusion. All right, let's move away from that story. We'll move on to our next paper for the day, and that will be the New Telegraph for today, the 9th day in the month of August 2023. And here on the New Telegraph, we'll have as headline, USSD respite as CBN intervenes in banks, 150 billion naira debt to telcos. All right, naira depreciates to 900 naira per dollar at parallel market. Oh wow, that's really interesting. That story is on page 3 of the New Telegraph newspaper. We also see here electricity bills. Niger, Togo, Benin owe Nigeria for 3.4 billion naira. All right, we need to get details of that, why they owe this much money to Nigeria. You go to page 4 of the New Telegraph newspaper. I'm just wondering, how did you come about this? Well, we'll find out on page 4 of the New Telegraph. We see other stories here still on the New Telegraph. It reads, 9 ex-governors emerge chairman as Akpabio unveils standing committees. Page 4 is where you get details. Tinubu meets Okonjo Iweala, 6 ways to address hardship in Nigeria. Page 2. We also see here Sawolu, Lagos seeking 10-year, $10 billion power funding. East-West Road, strategic for Niger Delta development.
Wow.
Oh, Borobori. All right, all of that you find on page 5 and 7 of the New Telegraph newspaper. We'll move on to the main headline on the New Telegraph. It says here, shelf strike. Okay, FG, I beg your pardon, let me take that again. It said, FG, NMA beg resident doctors. Shelf strike. Nigerians dying, can't care for themselves. Take that again. Shelf strike. Nigerians dying, can't take care of themselves. Doctors' body urges speedy conflict resolution. NAD cancels planned national protest as Senate intervenes. Find details on page 3 and 29 of the New Telegraph. And at the bottom strip here, we see Niger, ECOWAS issued 7-day ultimatum, not Nigeria. Tinubu. All right, President is responding to people reacting to the fact that he wants to wage a war against Niger. And he's saying that I'm not the one waging a war against Niger. It is the entire members of the ECOWAS state that are saying whatever I am saying. It's not just me.
Yes, of course, he is the leader, so the whole thing boils down to what the decision that the leader has taken.
Exactly.
If he says go, they'll go. If he says come, they'll come.
Exactly.
So the whole thing is in his hands.
Yeah, so Nigerians that are thinking that Tinubu wants to go and waste our resources in a war that does not concern us.
Just like someone said the other day, said when your house is burning, you're trying to go quench fire in your neighbor's house. Please, Tinubu, do this and do that.
Now he's saying that I'm not the one who...
To whom much is given, much is expected.
All right.
That's what is happening right now.
We'll see right under that, the sub-headlines. It says, stop fighting proxy war for Western countries. ACF tells ECOWAS, federal government, wants sanctions lifted. PPS lists implications of military option and sanctions. All right, get details on page 2, 5, and 7 of the New Telegraph for the details. All right, moving on to this last headline here, which says crude oil theft. Tinubu mulls splitting Tompolo's pipeline surveillance contract. All right. Why Asari Dokubo's against Tompolo? Source 122 incidents recorded in week NNPCL. All right, interesting.
Tompolo.
And now because Tompolo is in charge of securing these pipelines. But
the other day there was a major hazard in one of the pipelines.
Rumors, unconfirmed rumors that Asari Dokubo is doing all he can to take up that contract
from Tompolo.
And now we see the president saying he's considering splitting Tompolo's pipeline surveillance contract. So, if it ever lands on Asari Dokubo's lap,
there could be serious war. Do you know what that means?
No, well, it's not.
Do you know what
that means? It's
not
in
means?
the hands of Tompolo or any other person. It is the serious right. It's the total right of the government to contract this job to credible
different individuals
security agencies.
Yes.
So if they feel that Tompolo, you've done well, but we want to split it so that the work will be more efficient with another private security agents, whether it is that of
but do you think Asari Dokubo is speaking from the aspect of proper surveillance or failure in security, or he is actually trying to get his own share of the whole thing?
We don't know why his name keeps popping up in this matter, in this case, because let's not forget that he has claimed that he owns a private military outfit that provides military interventions for countries, for people that needs it.
There must be an area of interest, Mr. Abule. There must be an area of interest.
No, I'm just saying what is in the open.
Yes.
That's what he said. And he's also saying that he's ready to go out, that he has had contracts with the Nigerian government before to secure certain areas. He mentioned fighting Boko Haram. He mentioned also fighting territories within the southeastern part of the country. So if they call him in to say, all right, this pipeline security job, we want you to also, surveillance job, we want you to also bring in your men to assist. So we're giving you, well, I believe he'll be, if he claims that he has done so well in fighting for Nigeria, well, why not? So we are hoping to see how that plays out. But let's move on to the big story here. The one, all right, not the main headline though, but the story about Tinubu meeting Okonjo Iweala seeking ways to address hardship in Nigeria. So Okonjo Iweala, former finance minister and a woman of repute, I must say.
Very well.
Yes,
very well.
She has done so well.
When some youth these days will be dreaming of becoming this and that and that, so many of us are actually envying the soul. We are envying the soul.
She's such a powerful woman.
Yes.
And has been able to put Nigeria has been able to fly Nigeria's flag high up there, and we're very proud of her. So recently she visited Tinubu, and according to her, she has come on an unofficial visit to Tinubu to seek ways on how they can resolve some of the hardship that Nigerians are facing. What's your take on that story?
It's nice to know that the president actually accepted that he knows that the citizens and his citizens are suffering. There's one thing to acknowledge, another is to say you aren't aware. Just like in the case of the former president, President Muhammad Buhari, towards the end of his tenure, when he had said that he is not aware that so things are happening in Nigeria, he is not aware that so corruption is going on, that Nigerians are in abject poverty, that he thinks he has done well. You are aware of that. Of course, you're in the media, so you're aware of that. So my happiness is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has acknowledged that he knows that there's this suffering going on, and that is because of the drastic, let me use the word drastic, because that decision came all of a sudden. Nigerians didn't expect it. The fuel, the high increase in the price of fuel. The way it came as a shock to some persons. They can't take it. Some car owners it still seems like they are dreaming.
It has had a ripple effect on every sector.
It still seems like they are yet to wake up from this dream. Wake me up. How do I need to meet up with school runs? I'll go drop my kids. I'll leave in the afternoon. I'll come pick them up. I'll take my wife to her place of work. How do I cope? But you know, Nigerians are very resilient. But right now, Nigerians no longer want to keep up being resilient. That's why the president have acknowledged that I know that you are suffering. So Okonjo Iweala has come up to say, how do we come in? How do we help? We need lots of women empowerment. We need lots of job creation, tech hubs. But it's not just the talking and talking and talking. Before now, there's been lots of poverty alleviation schemes. When the former president was on seat, we had stuff like NPower, NTech, NCEP, where kids that were in primary schools, government-owned schools, were cooked for, where we had Nigerian youth being paid about 30,000 naira. But right now, since I think this particular Empower, right from the time the batch C, they're not receiving anything. Let's look at it. 30,000 naira is nothing. And even if you're dashing them this money, the person still doesn't have a hand job, a hand work, no employment. So, what needs to be done right now, though that's an official visit, if, I still keep saying it, if grants can be given, if failed factories, failed industries can be renovated, if those machines can start working, why won't there be jobs? Why would we have youths roaming around the street? Why would we have persons crying day in, day out? So with what she had said, she's not making a mistake. They need to reason together. They need to come up with something. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. So many at times to be walking on the street and a full grown man will walk up to you and say, Auntie, please, I beg help me, my transport no reach.
They always come in to beg for transportation. But great move from the Director General of the World Trade Organization coming in to say, okay, I might be out there as the Director General of the World Trade Organization, but my eye is home, my home, Nigeria. Now she has come back to say, okay, new administration, I am here to partner with you people. I will use my influence as the Director General of the WTO to bring in any goodies that is from there to my people. And this is quite a great move. I really love what she has done so far. We hope that the current administration will be able to harness this and make something meaningful out of it for young people, young businesses, because she spoke about
especially for young businesses, tech hubs,
she spoke about
IT,
young youths, and of course women. She said, oh yeah, we're already working with some women, but we hope to do more. We hope to do more to help them have a means of livelihood in a very tough economy. The economy in Nigeria is in a bad place, but it can come out of it.
You and can so with always support, harness something.
With support and initiatives like this, moves like this, and if the federal government, as the president, will be able to make sense out of this, then we'll be able to see something good come out of all of this. But kudos to Okonjo Iweala. She's doing so much.
She is.
As a minister, she was exceptional. Even out there as a WTO Director General, she's doing so much. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to come back with our last paper. So don't go anywhere. Once we come back, we'll delve into the headlines on our last paper. We'll be right back.
Hey there. Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
You're welcome back from that very short break, and I want to thank you for watching up to this time. We're still taking newspaper headlines across newspapers around Nigeria, and we're going to delve into our last paper for today, and that will be the Leadership newspaper for today, the 9th day in the month of August 2023. My name is William Sabule. All right, we see the headline here on Leadership newspaper. Sultan Kuka blame insecurity on injustice, bad governance. All right, we also see Zenith Bank, AFC, FTA sign $1 million agreement for trade opportunities. Page 21 is where you get details of that story. We're moving downwards. It says 19 countries to benefit from ECOWAS $338.7 million off-grid electricity project. All right. You'll see that story on page 7 of Leadership newspaper. Nigeria coup linked individuals, entities slammed with new sanctions. Nigeria coup linked individuals, entities slammed with new sanctions. Find details on page 7 of the Leadership. We also see here, federal government begs resident doctors to shelf strike. Job racketeering, 35 MDAs, collusion reps probe. The fine story on page 7. You know that story, right?
Yes, yes,
All
very
right.
interesting
If
one.
you don't know what we're talking about, please go to page 7 of
The
the
leadership.
Leadership newspaper to read up about that probe about job racketeering. Very ridiculous one going on, but we hope that the Senate gets something out of that. We move on to the main headline on Leadership newspaper here. It says, maize shortage. Nigeria's $4.2 billion poultry sector on brink of collapse. Maize shortage. Nigeria's 4.2 billion naira, $4.2 billion poultry sector on brink of collapse. We also see here 25 million. The sector's crisis puts over 25 million jobs at risk. Nigeria's maize production declined to 12 million metric tons in 2023 from 12.5 million metric tons in 2019. We also see here a crate of eggs now sells between 2,400 naira and 2,600 naira. It was earlier sold for 1,900 naira. An average serving of 2 eggs contains 82% of daily vitamin D requirements. 600 poultry farms may close shop in Delta State. All right, you get details of all of this on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. So Jennifer, this is quite a concern for our agricultural sector, where we see that there's a shortage of maize, which is a very vital staple food in Nigeria, not just for food for families and people, but also part of the essential ingredient in making feeds for animals, especially chickens and all of that. And this is beginning to cause a threat in the poultry industry, and they are coming out to say they are on the brink of collapsing. What do you think is going on?
Yeah, my view to this particular story is that this actually contributes to everything that is happening in the country. You know, when we say we say this particular thing, we say when the head is suffering, the whole body suffers. You don't expect them to be doing well. You don't expect the persons in the agricultural sector to do well. Of course, the poultry section contributes about 25% of the agricultural gross domestic product in this country. So, but looking at what is happening now, when the maize is not available, the farmers are not getting loans. The loans are not made easy. The processing in the loan is not made easy for the farmers. That's one. Then let us look at accessibility. Let's look at the rural farmers. And of course, the production sector and the companies, they are not even making use of corn or maize from the rural farmers. They're importing this stuff.
Yeah.
And right now, importation is very high. The cost of importation is very high. If maize was sold before for, let's say, 3,000 naira, now is about 11,000 or 12,000 naira. How do you get that? When there's low maize supply, when there's low corn, there's no feed for the poultry farmers. And the livestock will not be coming out fine. Sure. Just go to the market, the kind of chicken you see, you will not even like
Even
it.
The
eggs you see, sometimes I used to ask the sellers, I'll ask them, please, is this one coming from fowl, chicken, fowl, or pigeon? Let us know. Let's know the difference between this is actually going to affect me. I don't know about the
prices are way
yes.
Well, it will affect you and a lot of families, because a lot of families.
And with this that is happening, we're also talking about loss of jobs. If some poultries have threatened to close down, in a place like Delta State and some other places. Do you know what that means? That means that as this poultry is closing down, we are losing about 100 workers and unemployment is increasing.
Yes.
As another poultry is closing down, we are losing about 150 workers or 1,000 workers and unemployment is increasing. So the government should do something.
Yeah, the headline says it puts 25 million jobs at risk.
At risk. I've just said that. 25 million, because there are lots of poultry. See, the egg consumption, in fact, livestock farming is a major part of the agricultural sector in Nigeria. So many persons have gone into that business with their pension. So many persons have put everything they have into that business. And it's not easy to acquire the feed these days.
There's good returns in poultry farming. But when you begin to have crises like the shortage of food,
yes,
and of course there's also the fear of diseases.
Yes, and that's in this case, they will now resort to the alternative means of feeding the livestock, and at the end of the day, what happens? Diseases, infections.
It's quite a concern, and we're hoping
it's a big concern.
Unfortunately, we don't have a Minister of Agriculture yet. But this is something that the government will need to look into and respond to real fast, because it could create food crisis. Just imagine that we don't have chickens to feed on, or there are no eggs that a lot of families rely on for daily consumption, and not just for families, the bakeries, most of the confectionaries, they rely on egg to produce whatever they produce. And if these poultry businesses begin to fail, then it's going to affect, it will have a lot of ripple effect on these other sectors and businesses. So it is a very key and very delicate sector that the federal government needs to jump into and resolve as quickly as possible.
Yes, so this particular government, because of the renewed hope, lots of policies need to come up. Lots of reforms need to come up. It's not like they're not doing well, but it should be done very fast, because the whole place is messed up. They should go back and check. There was a time that Nigeria was better than this.
Oh, yeah.
There was a time that you see almost about 5 eggs for 200 naira. Yes, when I was in school, you can get 5 eggs, 200, 6 eggs, 200 naira. And when you want to make cake will no longer be that expensive. But right now, if you get a cake of 10,000 naira, glory be to God, because the egg is the major ingredients, amongst the major ingredients needed to produce all these. The otter farm is there. I don't know what the otter farm is doing right now, because they should be giving us lots of eggs.
Yes, but then
since there's no feed,
they will be greatly affected by this too.
Yes.
And then lastly, let me just add that the federal government need to be able to empower local farmers to produce enough maize to meet the demand of Nigerian consumers, because importing maize from countries like Ukraine and the rest of them, at times like this where Ukraine is also at war with Russia, then those movement of grains out of this country and in is very difficult at this time. So I mean, why can't we produce these things? Because we can't produce them because our farmers can no longer go to farms.
Yes.
Boko Haram will not allow them
insecurity everywhere. The insecurity is contributing to this.
So these are some things that the government will need to deal with, so that we can internally feed ourselves.
And I've also said it, they should lessen the processing and the collection of loan from banks.
True.
Because we have agricultural banks. True. They are there right from concept. We've had agricultural banks. But sometimes you find out that the processes that involved in getting the loan by farmers is so out of it. It's cumbersome. So these farmers cannot get it and produce enough that will be enough for the consumers.
All right, let's draw the curtain there today. I want to thank you so much, Jenny, for coming.
It's my pleasure.
And to our viewers, we want to thank you. You guys are the real MVP. Thank you so much for watching up to this time right here on the Newspaper Review. Don't forget that we do this every other day, so join us again tomorrow as we bring you another interesting episode of the newspaper review. Until next time, we'll come your way again. My name is William Tabule. You stay tuned and stay.